We have an awesome show for you guys today.
The greatest eventer of all time.
Good news for the sport.
Welcome to the Jon and Rick Show, brought to you by Horse Trailer Pros. We are in the virtual Zoom room studio, Jon. You are back from Bromont. We're coming right back for a full intro and then a really cool guest.
Want to advertise on the Jon and Rick Show? Contact Jon at 352-875-8622
Or call Rick at 850-879-2649.
For a horse owner on the road, your trailer is essential. No one enjoys being stuck on the road. At Horse Trailer Pros, we repair, renovate, and maintain all makes and models of horse trailers. We work directly with your insurance company or manufacturer for warranty repairs and insurance claims. Our state-of-the-art facility provides quick turnaround and friendly customer service. Considering a living quarter conversion? We do those too. Find comfort on the road with Horse Trailer Pros. Call or text 352-804-2131. HorseTrailerPros.com.
Welcome to the Jon and Rick Show, brought to you by Horse Trailer Pros. Jon, this is a great episode. It's a long trip for you back from Bromont, and we're going to talk about it. But we have a great guest on, and that is Tony
Sandoval, Coach Sando. He is up in Lexington. I actually got to sit down with him in his gym, which is pretty cool. And he's basically like a big fitness guru. You're going to hear all about him. It's obviously something that's an important part of our sport if we want to be athletes. And so I was able, when I was up for Kentucky, I was able to go in, meet with him, and sat down, and it's pretty cool stuff. So you guys will want to stick around and hear what he has to say, a little bit of a different angle today.
Awesome. That's terrific. Now, everybody, this is episode 12, season 6. Jon just got back from a long trip to Bromont. And, you look good considering you just drove a lot.
Yeah, it was a lot of driving. Fortunately, I had Trinity with me, and she was awesome. She drove quite a bit on the way home, which helped. But, we drove on the way back. Monday morning, we drove about 9 hours to Shannon Lily's farm in Pennsylvania, stayed there for about 6 hours, and then we drove the rest of the way home yesterday, got home at about 7, which is why I apologize, guys. I look a little rough, a little unshaven. I did get a full night's rest last night, but I think I got about 4 hours the night before, and then we drove 25 and a half hours home. 25 and a half hours there last week. Had a great time. Bromont is, as you know, Rick, and I think most of the viewers know, it is one of my favorite events in the world. It is, that I've been to. It is just such a beautiful place. Sue Ockenden and her team do an amazing job. The only thing you could possibly complain about at Bromont would be the stabling, which they are going to be working on to get even better. The cross-country course was incredible. Weather cooperated. It was a great week for sport. Like all events, there were little problems there. One thing I want to say right off the bat is and I am personally, and I know we as the show are watching Ariel Grald and sort of how she's doing. Last reports that I got was she is beat up. She's going to be in the hospital for a little bit, but she should be okay. And it looks like things will be all right. She's got a little bit of a long road, but fortunately it sounds like everything's going to be okay in the end. She's got a tough battle ahead with a couple of things, but they're very optimistic. So Ariel, we're thinking of you and pulling for you.
Well, just in case listeners and viewers aren't know, she had a 4-star horse. She had a 2-star horse. And I believe something happened. I know something happened on the 2-star horse that created the injury. And Ariel, we're pulling for you. And, we know how tough she is. She can go to no teeth to beautiful teeth in a matter of a year. So I'm sure she's going to recover from this really fast.
Yeah, I'm sure she will. She's great. And it's always a bummer when you hear about, but more than a bummer, it's sad when you hear about stuff like this happening. But fortunately, it sounds like she's going to be all right.
Good. So I sorry for the background noise. Hold on.
No problem. We'll get Rick's dogs. There we go.
I know, but I am super proud of you, John. You
Thanks.
have your rotation of horses that are amazing. And I think it was, I mean, how long was it? 3 or 4 years ago that they came to you?
Yeah, I don't remember exactly. I'm terrible at that. But yeah, basically I've had them about 3 years. And so um this was kind of the goal all the way from last year was to get them up to Bromont. I think a lot of them, unfortunately, Kurt grabbed a heel about 10 days to 2 weeks right before the jog out in his pasture. And so that meant he didn't get to go. But Zelda and Irving went up. And I'll be honest, Irving kind of went only because I was going with Zelda. He was doing his fifth preliminary, and I knew it'd be a tall order for him. He still likes to buck his way out of the start box, and he bucked at Bromont all the way through fence four and then settled in. And when I say buck, more like porpoise, but sticks his head between
Right,
his
right.
knees. Makes it a little bit tough to go out and be quick early on, but it's pretty cool. Like you go to an event like that, and I went with the intention with both horses to sort of see what I had, which I always find nerve-wracking when it's a horse you really think a lot of. It's so much easier when you go there and you're like, well, this horse isn't quite good enough for this reason or that reason. But I really think a lot of both of them. And so to go up there and kind of have a crack at it and see if they're what you hope they are is, for me, stressful at any level. And so I was hyper focused the whole week, and really they were pretty great. I can't have, I mean, you can always complain a little bit here or there and be like, if I'd shaved off a point here, if I'd gone faster there, if I'd ridden better here, we would have been on a better score. But really great weekend. And when I got home last night and turned the two of them out and they ran out into their field and stuck their heads down and started grazing, I was pretty happy.
Yeah, you should be because they're both amazing. All three of them are amazing horses. The Esmeralda, which I like to use her full name,
Yes.
was one of my favorites when you first were coming over. And I know the story for her was she wasn't on your list to get. And so that's a cool story. You can remind everybody that that was a mare that you weren't going to get. And then
Yeah. So just
Leslie and
real
Jen.
brief, real
Yeah.
briefly, I had chosen a different horse, which was a very nice horse. And I sent the videos to Leslie, who's a good friend of mine, Leslie Law, and Jen really liked Zelda, and so we had been looking at those videos as well. But when I rode Zelda, like I rode her to a combination in the show jumping and completely missed. I couldn't ride one side of her, and so I was like, she's beautiful, but I can't ride her. And when I sent the videos on of Irving, who's the two-star horse, call up Cooley, and the other horse, I accidentally included a clip of Zelda, and he came back to me with, yeah, those are two nice horses, but why aren't you buying the chestnut? That's the one. And so I said, fine. We're all going to vote. The two laws and Jen and myself all vote. I get two votes, and the rest of you three get one vote each, and we'll decide. And they all three voted for Zelda. And so that's the one we ended up. I actually had to call back and say, sorry, I want Zelda instead, which was a little bit messy and definitely affected my negotiating ability, which was kind of a bummer. Um, but we ended up with Zelda, and it wasn't all smooth going initially. I definitely told Jen after about 3 months when I still couldn't ride one side of her, like, what had they done to me? But I couldn't be happier. And the running joke is now Zelda is my girlfriend. And yeah,
Well,
she's amazing.
Joe, cool mare. And it was this is your foundation year, really. So, foundation years come in and now you really know what you got with those two. And so I'm sure this, yeah, I'm excited for you. This
Yeah,
is
thanks.
this is your time.
Thanks, man. And Elisa was up there, and I was excited I got to help her, and she was great. She did, I mean, I know cross country, she was very pleased with the mare in general, had a beautiful show jumping round, and for her as well, like even at the four-star level to go out and gallop around that cross country course, it was no joke. Like Derek, it's the one thing about Bromont. You don't go there expecting a course that's going to be like straightforward and soft for the level. Like he came at you hard, and Elisa did a
Yeah,
great job.
that's how it is all the time, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And to at least the source listen for quality. And that mare was just 9. So cool.
Yep. Very
Hey,
cool.
we had a Nations Cup too.
Yes. Yes.
We were silver medalists, right?
Yep. Yep.
So who do we have on our team? Do you have the notes for that? I
I
think I
don't
have.
have the notes. Do you have the notes?
No, I think we can run through them. So congratulations to the U.S. Nations Cup team. Was made up of Mia Farley,
Yep.
Cosby Green, uh, Jenny Carras.
Yep.
I know Molly Duda was an individual, and then who am I missing?
I don't know, man, because you brought this up and I am unprepared because I slept all night. Hold on.
Come on,
Ugh.
I could tell you they were silver medalists, which is really good. They had a really good go, and just very proud of that team. The developing European tours over there now. I know Alex started in dressage, Alexander O'Neill,
Yep.
and unfortunately they had a hot nail or something where he couldn't go on, so he was replaced on that team. Might have
Yes. So the Nations Cup team, just so we got it here correct, and I just want to make sure we got it, is
yeah,
Jenny Karras, Olivia Dutton, Mia Farley, and
Olivia.
Cosby Green. And um, that whole tour is Jenny. So the USEF 2025 European Development Tour is Jenny Karras, Molly Duda, Olivia Dutton, Mia Farley, Cosby Green, and our good friend Alex O'Neill.
Exactly.
So
Well,
uh,
that's super, super, super.
yeah.
Um, we also have an announcement real quick. You know that we talked about Hadi the Super Pony having a membership
Yeah.
club
Yeah.
that sort of involves having people as owners, but not owners, and participating in this fan membership ownership club. We have our first participant in that, Ann Townsend has
Nice.
become the first membership owner of Hadi and the fan club for the next year. So we're excited about that. So just wanted
Congratulations,
everybody,
Anne.
yeah, very cool. So tell us what else is on your mind.
Well, I just think we should because I was there, we should talk a little bit about Bromont and the other people who were there, right?
Let's do
So
it.
one thing that was really interesting was, which I didn't realize how bad the fires were. Like I knew they were bad up in Canada. And so we're thinking of everybody out in sort of Western and Central Canada that's dealing with these devastating fires. It's just horrendous. And when we woke up Friday, all of a sudden the beautiful mountains had disappeared. You couldn't see them. It was
Wow.
completely smoke filled. You couldn't really smell it, but everybody at the horse show, competitors, officials, everybody started watching the air quality index. And so Saturday morning, they pulled one loop, the last loop off of the four long, which made it, I think it was like almost 10 and a half minutes and it cut it down to 9. So that was obviously anytime they're changing something at the last minute on the morning of cross country, it's a little bit stressful, but it seemed
Or
like the
not.
right thing to do at the time. Um, I will say, like, I wasn't overly concerned because when you're out walking, a lot of times I've been out west at Rebecca Farm teaching clinics when the air quality isn't good and you can smell the smoke when it's really bad and you couldn't smell it, but it was definitely in the air. So I commend the ground jury for making that decision and all the officials at Bromont for trying to do the right thing by the horses. And it was a great 4-star competition. Derek, he softened up the first water. You know, you go through that river, sort of feels like a river crossing, and usually there's a jump in and a jump out. And this time you just cantered in and jumped a triple bar out. It was awkward. It was weird. He put both the 4 and 3 there, and they were both on weird, awkward ground. Um, but it was a good question, sort of a hey, heads up, but not overly complicated for the horses. Got them really galloping well in that 4-star track. And then it kind of followed the same normal track, the coffin on the 4-star. I'm sure you watched some of that on the live feed, which Annie Bishop and Sarah Kosemplik covered that and had a bunch of riders coming in and helping. They did a great job. That coffin was really difficult and I was shocked. And that just shows you the brilliance of Derek, right? The coffin rode great.
Right.
Gosh, it was
Yeah,
complicated.
it's on that backside hill where you have to come back down, and it's always been there.
Yeah.
It did ride great, and it was
Yeah.
terrific. So the shout out is for, which I didn't know this, right? Lauren Nicholson has never won a 4-star.
Yeah, I heard something about this, and I was
I
stable
was like,
across from her.
she's like always, she called herself always the bridesmaid, never the
Yep.
bride. So congratulations, because that horse looks fantastic, and it's owned by Mrs. Mars.
Yep.
Uh, so uh, the name of the horse is,
Larcot Z.
yep, and
And
she really rode well. She had the only double clearance show jump. So I know that team is very excited about that horse because she has taken her time with it. So congratulations, Lauren. That was fantastic.
yeah, I mean, it just was amazing the whole way around, really. She was stable. I mean, I've known Lauren since she was 14 years old, I believe, when she came out to work for David and Karen and a ride with. And she's stable across from us. We had Sally there. They're just a laid back, cool team, like hyper focused, but not no drama. Cool to be around. We had a great weekend stabled with them. And I was very excited for her for sure.
Who was second in the four long?
So then we had Haley Freelick, who I'm pretty
New
sure
Zealand.
if I can get myself organized, we should have some B-roll of some of the cross country, and we have Haley through the coffin, which is great. And she looked awesome. So congratulations for Haley and New Zealand. And then we had Sophia Middlebrook there in
Another Krista Schmidt horse, which is Mrs. Mars' daughter. So that's cool.
yeah. Um, so yeah, so it was exciting, but a little bit of controversy, which I think we should talk about for poor
Okay.
Emma Klugman.
Oh, yeah, I heard about that. So Emma was first and second in the
Yeah,
four long.
yeah.
And so you can run us through it because you were there, but I do
Yeah,
know
it just you
Emma.
just feel for poor Emma. She's just like been so close between Kentucky and here of having great weekends and then just little things happen. Um, so she withdrew, I believe, the second place horse, but she
The
still
red
was
flame
in the
horse.
lead. She jogged up her first place horse, and then all of a sudden we're looking on the scoreboard because she's not in the show jump warm up, and it says on her first place horse that she's been disqualified. So everybody started sort of asking what was going on. And I think the reason I want to talk about this isn't to, I mean, obviously we're a news show, right? A little bit, a talk show about eventing. So we should talk about what happened. They changed the rules on B vitamins this year. So you used to be able to, with permission, have the FEI vet at a competition give your horse B vitamins by injection. So that's allowed. You go to the vet stall and or I guess when they're running the fluids, they can do it that way. They used to be able to, and you could have B vitamins given to your horse, which just help pump them up, make them feel good. People get B vitamins. There's nothing,
It's B12.
yeah, it's just B12. There's nothing unethical
Right.
about it.
Right.
People take that stuff all the time. It's just a vitamin. But the FEI changed the rule this year that you can't give B vitamins that way. You can give them orally to your horse, but you can't run them through the IV. And they didn't realize that there was confusion. Anyway, her horse got B vitamins through the IV, and that's an immediate disqualification, which is just such a bummer. But it's like there's no gray area. It's a rule. It was a mistake, and I just feel for poor Emma. She rode so well on Saturday. I was out walking my course when she was galloping by on both of her horses, and she just looked amazing. So Emma, keep your chin up. That is a
Yep.
bummer to go from first and second to not finishing, but it's a mistake. It will never happen again. And
Well, I think it's a really good point that you make because there are a lot of new rules that come up, and I think riders really, we try. I'm on the rider committee for the USEA, and we tried to get information out, and I think we need to do it even better to get out new rules for the FEI to understand, at least from our forum, what's going on and how to do it. I think the one thing that pricked my ears a little bit is the B12 by permission with the veterinary FEI vet. We all need, if you're FEI, and usually we have our own team of vets that travel with us. Some people don't, but if you have your vets with you, make sure that everybody's up to date on what's going on. And if you're not sure about what's being put into your horse, I would go ask somebody before you do it. It's unfortunate for Emma. I really feel bad because that horse really looked good.
yes,
So
yeah, it was a real bummer. But it's what, like I said, there was the one thing I think everybody needs to understand there for sure is there was no decision to be made by the
Yeah,
officials. It's a
it's
rule.
great. Right.
It was done. So they couldn't have like given her an exception for that. So but that said, it was a great competition. I have to say one last thing because Sarah Cosmplick made a post about Jessie Phoenix, and Jessie had a great weekend, but she had some show jump rounds that went her way, some that did not. Every time that girl leaves the ring, she has a smile on her face. And, I know Sinead has the nickname for her, the smiling assassin, which I think is so good.
I did hear her say that.
Yeah,
That's
I love it. But it's funny, right? I went out on Zelda and I had 2 down, which is a bummer because that mare should never have a pull, but she was a little tired and I was so mad at myself and I couldn't even crack a smile, much less talk to anybody. And I just quietly walked back to the barn to kind of collect myself before I did anything that looked like I was being a poor sport. Because to be fair, I was being a little bit of a poor sport because I was so frustrated with myself because I let my mare down a little bit. And then I went back out to go get ready to walk the 4 star with Elisa. And as I was waiting, Jessie went into the 4 short and had a round that she wasn't thrilled with. And she came out smiling and petting her horse. And I pet Zelda, don't get me wrong. Zelda had no idea, but I was so mad. And there's Jessie smiling, and she's not happy, but she's smiling and appreciating where she is. And I just want to say, Jessie, I'm going to try hard to be more like you because you are amazing. You are just, it's infectious. And if you act that way, it just spreads to everyone around you. So good job, you. She's just
no,
a genuinely good person.
she is. I agree. And I watched the live stream. And the other thing she did was always make sure that she smiled and waved up to the sponsor tents. And
Yes.
I think probably her owners and people that are up there. Yeah, it was unfortunate. I love that horse, Wabbit, and it's too bad because Wabbit just didn't get it done. But she tried hard, so that was
Yeah.
awesome.
So the last thing I think we should just mention was Bramham was this weekend as well. And we weren't there. I didn't get to watch it because I was at Bromont. Did you see any of it?
I watched a little bit. I can give a shout out to Lucinda Green's daughter, Lissa Green,
Yeah.
represents Australia. Did the 4 short, was I believe, don't everybody quote me on the facts, but I do believe she was the only double clear cross country. So that was in the 4 short.
Right.
So congratulations to Lissa, who just had a baby not that long ago, and Lucinda, because they're been working very hard.
That's awesome. Good for them. Good for the
I
Green
didn't hear
family.
it.
And then we had Bubby Upton won the 4 long,
There we
which,
go.
we know the story of her, and she had that bad accident and had to come back and basically relearn everything again. And she just seems to be on fire this year. So I'm excited for Bubby. Congratulations. And beyond that, I can't really speak to the event. I saw a little bit of the course walk and it looked like an awesome event. So congratulations to all our friends over there for a great weekend. So that's exciting. We got anything else here, Rick, or should we check in with our sponsors
No,
and see Tony?
I think we should do that and
So
thank everybody.
before we do that, one thing we didn't do we still have our
Yeah, we did.
contest? Because we
Yep.
didn't do that in the last show.
We didn't.
Well, we should get that rolling here again. So what I thought would be a good thing for everybody is you have to go into the comments on YouTube and you have to comment on at least one rider that Coach Sando trains.
Okay.
So one eventing competitor, doesn't matter who it is. We talk about a bunch of stuff, and there is definitely some names or hints to names in there. So whether whoever it is, put a comment in YouTube about naming one of the riders that Coach Sando trains. And if you do that, then you will be put into a somewhat random choosing of who is going to win the I Love My Horse $25 gift card.
Wow.
All right.
One rider.
One rider. I
And
mean, I
thanks
guess
to I Love
you
My
could do
Horse.
multiples, but you got to name at least one.
Thanks to I Love My Horse for giving those great $25 cash certificates for their shop.
Yep. All right. Let's take a break. And then I guess actually I will be right back up in Lexington, Kentucky at Coach Sando's training center, his gym. And I think you guys are going to really enjoy it. He's a brilliant, brilliant man.
And before we go,
Yeah.
sorry, I know you closed it. Lemuelin is starting today.
Oh, right.
So we have Lemuelin to watch. So everybody out there, it's the 5-star Lemuelin. I believe we have a couple horses in it, but I don't
I think
know.
we have 3 Americans in there now.
Yep. Very good. So we'll be watching.
All right. Yeah, make sure we check that out. We'll cover that in the next show for sure. So let's check in with Horse Trailer Pros and the rest of our awesome sponsors, and we will be right back with Coach Sando.
EquiBrew, now available in the USA. It's a live probiotic that you feed daily to your horses. The live microbes go into your horse's gut and cleans up the gut wall, creating a healthy gut system.
EquiBrew is an essential part of my feeding program. My horses love to eat it, and it does a really good job of promoting gut health and also good behavior and great performances.
It's something I recommend for all of your horses, no matter what they do in their careers.
It's so affordable, I can use it on all of my horses in the barn, not just my top horses.
Order EquiBrew today by going to brickfieldnutrition.com or calling 850-879-2649.
If you're in the horse world, you need to have a good lawyer. Whatever the size of your business, having the best legal support is paramount. Rick and I use our friend and attorney, Yvonne Okrant. She's a partner at Hinshaw & Culberson LLP, which is a national law firm with over 450 attorneys. She's been at this for over 24 years and is licensed in Illinois, Florida, and Wisconsin. Yvonne can help you with contracts for horse purchases, sales and leases, as well as equine activity liability, releases, and training and boarding contracts for individuals and entities. If you need help with a syndicate, she's done over 350 contracts and operating agreements for sport horses in all 3 disciplines. Whatever your legal need is, Yvonne can assist you. Call her at 312-704-3080 or email at yokrant@hinshawlaw.com.
Hi, my name is Caroline Pamuccio, and I'm here with Jump for Joy. These are one of my key training techniques I use at home. They're extremely easy to use. They're very safe. And the thing I love about it is that they fall down. They have safety cups on them, which are extremely important to me to keep me and the horse safe. I love the fact that Jump for Joy has these type of brush on the jumps. It's a really easy way to teach my young horses how to jump through brush properly. There's not a better jump on the market.
Grant Showalter has over 15 years of equine bodywork and saddle fitting experience. His technique allows him to identify and alleviate tightness in muscles. He uses trigger point massage to release points of restriction. Grant has over a decade of experience fitting and adjusting a wide variety of saddles. His expertise in equine physiology, coupled with a thorough understanding of the importance of a properly fitted saddle, allows him to quickly identify and correct any balance issues. Grant can also adjust your saddle on site. Grant works on all of my competition horses, and I have noticed a significant improvement in their performance at competitions and their overall way of going. Grant's based in Ocala, Florida year-round, but regularly travels to the surrounding areas. For more information or to schedule an appointment, call 484-639-4454. Welcome back to the Jon and Rick Show, brought to you by Horse Trailer Pros. We are here at Coach Tony Sandoval's gym studio.
Yeah.
This is where the magic happens.
Yes.
I was laughing when I came in because I have seen this view from that chair over behind the camera where you send in my updates and workout videos, which is really cool.
Yeah.
So thanks for having me in and thanks for coming on the show.
Yeah. Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah. So I think where I'd like to start is, the obvious thing is what you do.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's super interesting and I want to get into the how you got to where you are and all of that. But first of all, why don't you just tell me a little bit about what you do? I know you're sort of rider specific right now, it seems like. So what is, make sure I have the name right, Coach Tony Sandoval Training?
I just call it Coach Sando Training.
Coach Sando Training.
Yeah.
I should know that.
You show up on your app all the time.
Coach Sando Training. I apologize.
You're fine.
Coach Sando Training. It is awesome, guys. It is really cool. I use it all the time.
Yeah.
So just run us through Coach Sando Training and what that is.
So Coach Sando Training first came up and as a business name because I wanted to bring my past and into this business. And in college, everybody used to call me Coach Sando.
Right.
So it's not so much like, hey, Coach Sando Training. It is, but it also is, this is who I am. This is what differentiates me from any other trainer that people use. Because from my experience and where I come from, I think that I bring a lot of the science to the equestrian athlete that has not ever been done or used on them before. Right. So our program is based on what we call a high performance model. And I know everybody knows what a high performance model is because you hear about it in horse, when you train your horse.
Right.
So when I went onto the USEF website, I found this little tab that said high performance training. I was like, oh, cool. Let me see who's in charge of that. And it was for the equine,
right.
nothing for the rider, right? So our program is based on a foundation of a better rider. A great rider is going to be someone that is mentally, physically sound. I'm going to use these horse terms because everybody understands that.
Yeah.
But
you're talking to horse people.
Yeah.
Use our words.
Sound, but we try to make it so that from a nutrition standpoint, mental standpoint, physical standpoint, that you are getting a program that is based on what you need as far as improving your riding. So it's here's another word, bespoke, for the people that obviously understand the European slang. Very personalized program, so that way you can get better at riding or get healthier without doing excess work. Does that make sense? So we've been really good about that in our program to make sure we do something called effective minimal dose. What is the smallest dose I can give you for training that's going to produce the most results? Because we know, my staff and I know, as riders, we can't burn you out.
Right.
And then you have nothing for your horse.
Yeah. So I think full disclosure to all of the listeners of the show, I started training with you too. Mm-hmm. And that is the big thing that I noticed immediately, because I've trained for years and I love the stuff that I was doing, but just with as crazy busy as I was, it was hard for me to get that done, like we talked about. And the first thing I noticed when I started working out was it was more exactly what I needed. And I'd sometimes would get done, I'd be like, I don't know, did I do enough? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And I don't mean that in a bad way.
Oh yeah,
I mean it in a very good way, where I was like, I feel like I should have been tortured a little bit more. But I was saying to you, which is cool, and again, guys, this is no infomercial. I'm here because I believe in this stuff. That's why I wanted you to come on, Tony. But I was telling Tony, I was galloping along one day and I normally could only look over my right shoulder, because if I looked left, I would get a little bit stiff and lose my balance. And I was like, I can't do that, which was embarrassing enough, because I always had thought of myself as an athlete, but I just always looked right. And I was galloping along and I looked back at one of my horses behind me with one of my kids, one of the working students on it. And I looked left and I didn't even think about it. And then I thought, well, was that the bad way or the good way? And it was really cool how just you came in and you did the video thing, and to honestly, just to see in the video how crooked I was kind of earth shattering to me. And eye-opening, I guess, is the word I'm looking for. But then to say, okay, let's do this, I'm all in, and to have, I think it was only 2 weeks in, and to have it straighten itself out that much. I'm sure I'm still not perfect. I mean, I think I'm pretty perfect, but I'm sure I'm not perfect. Yeah. But it was really cool, and it's a very, I guess what I'm saying is, for someone like me who came from doing a lot of gym stuff, it was eye-opening of wow, I could actually just work smarter at this, not harder, which makes so much sense when it comes to the horses. We try that all the time. Don't break them down. Do as little as you can to get the best. I always sort of joke, I don't want to go and win the fittest horse award. I want to win this horse is fit enough award. I want them ready to go to the competition, but if you have them overly fit, then you've probably worn them down. You're not going to get the best performance. Does that make sense?
That makes sense, and that's how we do it in pro sports and in college sports.
Right.
We just have the big budgets to be able to track humans.
Right.
Like humans get the big budgets to track horses.
Right.
Or you're really good at it just because you've had a lot of experience, right?
Yeah.
You have this intuition. So our program is based on that. I don't think a lot of people understand, because there's not a lot of education on it, but what is it like to train like an athlete?
Right.
You can use the cool words, but then you look at how many people out there on social media actually train athletes?
Right.
Right. And if you look at that whole landscape, there's so much information. People get confused. Do I do yoga? Do I do Pilates? Do I do CrossFit? Do I do Orange Theory? And if I were to ask you, I think this will help tie this question up. What makes a good rider? What would make physically a good rider? You would say
they need to be elastic. They need to have a good feel.
Mm-hmm.
They need to be athletic enough.
Yep.
They don't need to be fit, like
Right.
ripped. They don't need to be muscular. They need, I think elasticity and balance are probably the two most important things.
So when I ask this question to a lot of riders, especially like the pro riders,
Yeah.
what do you think makes a good rider physically? Strong, balanced. They use these terms. But if I use that, that describes every single athlete.
Right.
There's
Any
nothing
sport.
there's nothing that separates you from a soccer person. All the words that you just said, they need to be elastic because they need to be explosive because they need to change direction.
Yeah.
They need to have feel. They need to have feel in their sport with the ball.
Right.
They need to be strong, but not like strong deadlifting. They need to be strong to carry their body weight around, right? For speed.
Yeah.
So what we did, the staff and I, is to start trying to educate people and saying, what about if I told you that what a rider needs is to have a peak vertical force in newtons that you could produce per kilogram of body weight that was 53 newtons per kilogram. That was the standard.
Right.
And when I tested you, you could see.
Right.
That's way different. Now we're putting a exact metric that can gauge, will you have the physical ability, not the skill, just the physical ability, just like they do in combines for football, for basketball, for soccer. They have showcases and what have you. So what we're doing is taking all the stuff that I do in testing, and now I've created a normative data pool. So now from eventing, especially because I have a lot more eventers that I test, we have over 180 eventers, which from a science and a research perspective, that's enough to create a normative data pool. So I can tell you from an adult amateur to a pro, to a youth, a young rider, what your ranges would be.
So you do have enough information that the
have,
data makes sense.
It makes sense to me. Now I know for a male or a female what it would be like for you to have a program based on these metrics and this normative data. Now, this normative data, people will say, well, everything's different, age, gravity. Gravity doesn't care how old you are.
Right.
Your horse doesn't care how old you are. You either can do the job or you can't, which is really difficult. That's my pastor always says, you got to be able to have truth and grace. Because if you have too much truth, nobody will listen to you. But if you have more grace, everybody's invited, then horses get hurt.
Right.
So I try to educate with a little bit of truth, but also say, hey, there's ways that you can get better and you can now tailor your energy because I know you're really busy.
Yeah.
Husband, dad,
Sure.
Professional. So how can I make it so that we can now be very much of a sharpshooter with your energy and work on the things that you need to work on and have this minimal effective dose?
Yeah.
And then you can start, especially, I'm right there with you, by the way, as we're aging, we can't recover as well.
Right.
So you need to be very diligent with how you spend your time. And I think that's the game changer in our program that we take under consideration more than anything that I've seen out there.
Yeah. I mean, it's I've trained with lots of people and very good people, and I love them all, but it's just been very interesting how this is so, and I don't know, and this is the next thing I was going to ask you, if it's because you only do riders, but it's so specific to what I need and what I use. And the other thing I was going to say is sort of the end of my little speech I was giving there is, I think the other thing I just want people to understand is like, it's not like, I remember the first time I ever walked into a gym, because I never did the gym as a kid, right? And I went in with a friend of mine when I was in my late 20s and never been in a gym in my life other than like in gym class in high school. It's intimidating. And this, I think anybody could come into this program and feel like they're accomplishing something on day one and like they're not a fish out of water.
Right.
It was very cool, and not be sore and miserable for days on end because I've never worked, like you seem to do a very good job introducing the work to people, which I think is key.
Yeah.
Because if you make them sore, they don't want to come.
There's a business aspect to it.
Sure.
But there's also, unfortunately, and I think anybody that didn't say this doesn't work with people. I've broken a lot of eggs.
Sure.
I've learned with a lot of riders. And I only work with riders because that's what makes me catch up to speed, if you will, when I talk to people that have been doing this their whole life.
Right.
I don't have the time to work with anyone else. I dive deep into what it takes to be an equestrian athlete. I talk to vets. I have vet clients. I talk to them about what happens to the horses when riders do X, Y, and Z. I try to do everything that I can to make sure that I can, with a lot of assurance and confidence, say this is what you need to be a good rider.
Right. So
Right.
that is it. You only do it.
I only work with riders now. Like we were talking earlier before we started recording, I may have a client that says, hey, I have this person. Would you please work with them? They really need you.
Right.
Come on in.
Sure.
Perfect example, and I'm sure Emily won't mind, but Emily Hamill's stepdad.
Yep.
He's a runner. She asked me, like, I know you don't work with anybody but riders, but can you work with my dad? Come on in.
Right.
I'm not heartless.
Right. Okay. Cool. So you will, but there has to be some kind of a
Yeah,
connection.
like what's wrong with them, and do they really need me? And if they do, then of course I will help, especially when it comes to pain management stuff.
Right. So locally here in Lexington, like, do people come into your gym here and work out here, or is it all virtual stuff?
So I only work with a few people that have been my day ones here.
Okay.
Because yes, this is my basement studio, but it is my home.
Yeah, exactly. It's your house.
So my wife and I, we have a list, and these are the people that can come.
Right.
And after that, everybody can come in maybe for a check-in, but most of the time I give them all virtual stuff to do.
Right.
And then they come in here once in a great while and just check out their form, make sure that they're on the right path. They send me videos of themselves riding so that I can do a biomechanical analysis. The fact that every time I say that, I'm always like, I've worked pretty hard to get into your all's world.
Right.
Because the fact that people trust me now to look and see how they're riding,
Yep.
and even people that are professionals, and I can see it from a different perspective
Yep.
and view, and that gives them value, that makes me feel really good.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm sure would have to. It's cool stuff, and I don't know anybody else who does it like this. Like I mean, I saw you before we met and
Yeah.
knew a bit through Ride IQ.
Yes.
Like who you were and what you did, and I met you at the annual meetings and stuff.
Yes.
But when you came to the farm and I ran through the thing and had my students go through it, I was like, well, it's a very valuable, different take, and is a really cool part of what we do, like as a sport, to have someone like you come in and be like, okay, guys, like, yeah, you're the rider, you're the guy who's been jumping around 5 stars, but this is what I see, and you might want to think about it a little bit, right?
Right.
So it's been eye-opening, and so like you came, and we talked a little bit about this, but just for everybody watching, you came down to my farm and you spent the day there and graciously helped my son Caden kind of figure out a little bit more of what he wants to do, which will probably change 16 times. But it was super helpful. So thank you for that again.
You're so welcome.
But you videoed all these people doing the various exercises and the force things, and I did it too. And then you got videos of them riding. Now I guess the questions that I am getting from some of them is the one question I have for the people who did it is like, how is it? Is it cool? Do you like it? Right? And I've told them, oh, you're amazing and it's awesome. But the other one is from people who weren't there. So like, for anybody who's watching and is interested in this, or my people at home who I'm telling like, yeah, it's great, do it. How does it work? Like if someone says, all right, I want to go to Coach Sando.
Yeah.
I want to get this done. What is step one for them to get involved?
So the first thing is, once someone gets on a Zoom call with me, I've seen so many people now, especially riders, that I can do a Zoom assessment, and myself and my staff is compiled of very, very high end. In college, we call them athletic trainers. Outside of the college realm, then they call them physical therapists.
Right.
If you're in Europe, physiotherapists.
Right.
But athletic trainers, the reason I hunted for them was because athletic trainers, I'm sorry if I said physical, athletic trainers, all their job is to get the athlete back on the competition field or court as fast as possible. So their main job is to do that. Well, when you look at a physical therapist, they're governed by a lot. They're very good people. It's not that I'm trying to, throw shade at that profession, but it's very different when you're in college.
Right.
And so I wanted that because riders are athletes.
They want to get back on.
They will. As soon as the doctor says, you're fine, but all the rider will listen to is you're fine.
Yeah.
They don't even listen to but you have to wait another couple of weeks. No. So I wanted to I always tell them, if I can't stop the train, I'm going to guide the train.
Yes.
So I hired the best athletic trainers that came from top-notch programs to help me. Plus, they were riders themselves. Imagine that. That's a gem. I can't believe. I'm so
Yeah,
lucky.
but you're lucky in this town.
Oh my God! No, they live in Nashville, Tennessee.
Oh, really?
Yeah, one went to Auburn and the other one went to Tennessee, and they work with their programs. And they were riders. And that's the thing is like, how did I find these people? Social media can be very distracting, but it also is very helpful when people reach out to you and say, "Hey, I do this. You're just doing something really cool," and then we have this relationship. And eventually, I go, "Do you want to work with me?"
Right.
And now
So you've got a team.
I got a team. And so we look at that Zoom assessment video and we add in some exercises that we know if you do this, then you probably ride like this.
Right.
That's the simplest way.
Right.
If you test like this on Zoom, I know exactly what you're going to ride even before you show me your videos, because I know that the tools that you have in your inventory box right now, they're the same tools that you have when you're riding.
Sure. Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
So once you do the assessment, we then create a program for you. And the program is science-based. It's not perception-based. I don't have to sell you on your perception of it was sweaty, I'm sore, this must be good.
Right.
I am giving you a program based on what we saw on your assessment.
Right.
And sometimes that might look like a physical therapy program, but we try to involve some exercises that you can feel a little bit more. So for instance, instead of stretching, we believe more in mobility strengthening.
Yep.
So let's get you to the end range of motion, and do you own it? Instead of just you stretching all the time, no, can you get there on your own? Because if I pull your leg and now it's this high, and then you can't even get it on your own, that it's not your mobility. It's not
the
your
one you
flexibility.
make me do where I have to lay down
Yeah.
and put my foot up and then swing it
Yeah.
behind. Oh my God. But it's good.
You don't own that mobility, right? If I stretch out your hip, oh, you get there. But if you try to do it yourself.
And it's amazing, like one side I'm pretty good, the other side I am not so good. The left side is bad.
And so that
It's
is
interesting.
Yeah, and so when we use that information when we're doing with people, when we're working with people online, we can create programs that make you prepare yourself for the weights. When I first started working with riders, the biggest mistake that I had was I assumed that everybody was not broken.
Right.
I assumed that everybody was ready for this stage.
Honestly, the exact opposite of that.
I had to sit and go, what am I doing wrong? I'm not doing a good job. I have to do something better. Am I giving people good programs? Yes. Are they the programs that they need? No, I was hard on myself.
Right.
And then I started to really think about some stuff, and I'm so lucky that I have Allie Knowles that lives, she comes here. She's one of my go-tos that comes here. She's my day one.
Yep.
If you look on the board over here,
Yep.
you can see her because she's the only one that has a frame around her picture.
Right.
That's my day one. Loyalty. I'm a Raiders fan, I'm loyal, right? I'm loyal.
Raiders.
So I always ask her, like, what is this? And she's always like, Tony, yeah, that's not it. This, that, and the other. So she would teach me the sport, and I would go, you know what? I'm doing this wrong. So I started to change our program. And so now we run our program from, let's make sure that we fix the dysfunctions that you may or may not have. Once we fix them, then the next stage would be through our app. We deliver our programs, by the way. Then we get into the proper training to get you stronger.
Sure.
Stronger, though, so that I know what type of strength you need.
Yeah.
There's 5 different types of strengths. If you ask anyone on social media, again, this is the difference. And you ask them, what type of strength am I building? Oh, we're building strength. They might not know, because in their world, it's just fitness. It's just to get you stronger.
Right.
In performance, we have starting strength. We have overcoming strength. We have things like speed strength speed. And you're going, what does all that matter? It matters because depending on what strength a rider needs, you only need to go on that path to get them that strength. You don't need to waste resources trying to go through the whole gambit of strength, and then they're too tired or they get hurt, and now they can't even do the thing that they came to me to help them with.
Right.
Well,
and that's the frustrating thing, I'd say, when I go work out on my own, is you get up the next day and you're like, I can't even get on the horse. Like, I know it was a good workout, but I can't move. What am I going to do? And I haven't had that with you. And that's the other thing I would say that was eye-opening for me is the first 3 weeks. It was what I would call, I don't know what you would call it, but I called it, well, I've got to go out and do my physical therapy.
yeah, whatever you got to call it. I don't even get offended. Before I was like, no, not physical therapy, but it's all what you have experience with and how you label it. I don't care.
Yeah, that's
Are you
what
getting
it seemed
better?
like
Yeah.
to me. And
Yeah.
it's like, I get, and I think I messaged you like, seems really easy. And you're like, just trust me, stick with it.
Yeah.
Give me 3 weeks and we'll be okay. But it actually was exactly what I needed to do. And the big thing was I hurt less, which was pretty cool.
You ride better. You're coming to me if you want to ride better.
Yeah.
If you're coming to me because just there's no horse involved, I'm not the right person, because I want to fix big problems that have to be done, that have to do with your horse. And that might be health and wellness. I mean, I even started taking classes and got a lot of certifications to learn how to read things like blood work with women with perimenopause. Like, your program evolves. I evolved because I started working with, I didn't work with that in college. Like, there's no college, high school football player, that had to do perimenopause actions.
Right. Yeah, no, probably not. Seems unlikely. No. Unless they had a couple years of eligibility left in later life. Before we take a break, because I want to make sure we get your plug in here too. Yeah. So if somebody wants to do this, they want to say, Tony, come in and help me out, how do they contact you?
They can email me at tony@coachsandotraining.com, or they can, if they're on social media, they can just send me a DM on Instagram at Coach Sando Training. Those are the two easiest ways.
And I know all of that, how I didn't get the name right in the beginning.
That's fine.
All right, let's take a break, because I want to get into a little bit what you were just talking about, sort of the early years of Coach Sando. So let's take a break. We'll be right back.
For a horse owner on the road, your trailer is essential. No one enjoys being stuck on the road. At Horse Trailer Pros, we repair, renovate, and maintain all makes and models of horse trailers. We work directly with your insurance company or manufacturer for warranty repairs and insurance claims. Our state-of-the-art facility provides quick turnaround and friendly customer service. Considering a living quarter conversion? We do those too. Find comfort on the road with Horse Trailer Pros. Call or text 352-804-2131. HorseTrailerPros.com.
Another thing I love about Jump for Joy is that the jumps are so easy to move. It takes me and one other person to make a whole new cross-country questions. No tractors needed. I've got a lot of different sort of questions I've been able to design with these jumps. Set up some really difficult angled hedges, bank out the water to an angled hedge, and have these really nice skinnies. And another great thing is they have these amazing flags, so the horses always understand the jump between the flags.
All right, so we're here with Sally Spickard, and I wanted to mention the new podcast, Go Eventing. Sally, it is going to be great.
Yeah, we're really excited about it. It's going to have bi-weekly episodes. We're going to have about 20 episodes for you in 2025. So we're very excited to have kicked this thing off, and would love for everybody to take a listen. So I think we'll all do a lot of the same things, but I think more podcasts in the eventing space especially is going to be really cool.
Yeah, I really like the idea. And Will Faudree is the first guest that you're having. What a great first guest to have.
Absolutely, yeah.
Everybody out there need to watch or listen to your show on all the podcast outlets. Yep. And you can go to Eventing Nation's
EventingNation.podbean.com is the main podcast page. So you can listen to it there or on your favorite podcast platform.
Awesome. Go Eventing.
Go Eventing.
Hey, it's John here. I just want to let you guys know I got back from schooling at Magnolia Sands Farm here in Ocala, Florida. Their cross-country field is perfectly suited for a first outing on a young horse or schooling your upper-level horse. Magnolia Sands offers over 110 jumps ranging from starter to intermediate, plus multiple banks, ditches, and waters. They're constantly updating their courses and have even added new ditches and a starter ditch wall. Conveniently located in Northeast Ocala, Magnolia Sands has made it easy for riders and trainers with online waivers, Venmo, and PayPal, and even offer a golf cart for guests. MagnoliaSandsFarm.com. Since 1950, Maison Forestier has been offering its know-how to design custom-made saddles for passionate riders. In 2016, Maison Forestier took a turn and expanded into the sports world with the goal of improving the performance of the rider-horse pair. You will find a professional, reactive, and fun team to answer your needs. And this is why I have chosen Forestier for all of my saddlery needs. Feel free to contact the saddle expert in your area for more information by visiting www.forestier.com. Welcome back to the Jon and Rick Show, brought to you by Horse Trailer Pros. We're here in Lexington, Kentucky at Coach Sando Training with Coach Sando. Thanks for sticking with me for another segment.
Love it.
All right, so we talked in the last segment a lot about sort of what you do now. And I wanted to get a little bit further back. And I know a little bit about this because, like I was saying, you came down and you did a day at our farm in Ocala. And then you talked to my son about what he should do if he wanted to get involved in something in the fitness industry. So take me through it. Like, how did you decide this is what you wanted to do? Not like the horse thing, but I just mean this world of fitness. And I know you did some stuff in college. Like, what's your story?
So early on, I'm the oldest of four. And around 15 years old, my youngest brother, who's 10 years younger, wanted to play football. And I had just had a concussion and I had injuries playing that sport because I was not big. I shouldn't have been playing football, but I ended up not being able to play. And I always liked the coaching spot. I think when you're the oldest of however many siblings, you have this nurturing type of role.
Right. See, I'm the youngest and I don't care about anybody.
Okay. I didn't have a choice. I got that, like, you better feed your brothers and sisters or else you're going to get a whooping. So, that was my first coaching job. Is at 15 years old, I coached the flag football team. And I got these 5-year-olds to run intricate plays. The parents were always amazed that I had enough patience.
Right.
But it was like, that was my younger brother.
At 15.
At 15, and I was loving coaching all these kids. And after that, every year I was coaching football, basketball, track, all the way through college. And I always knew I wanted to be a coach. I just didn't know what type. And one of my college counselors said, you work out. Have you ever thought about being a college strength coach? That's a good profession. I was like, college strength coach? That means working like with athletes? I thought I was going to do that being a personal trainer. And she's the one that said, oh no, personal training is not athletic performance.
Right.
You need to look at this. Was like, sign me up, weight room and work on with football guys. I always thought I was going to be like a football coach.
Okay.
That might have been my plan.
Right.
And once I...
Like of the Raiders.
Yes, of course. I would have done it for free.
Possibly use you.
Oh, yeah. So when I went to college, the X's and O's didn't come easy. It was really difficult for me to learn all these concepts. But the coaching was always like it was home.
The athletic coaching.
Sorry. The athletic coaching was always awesome, where I could get into a room, be loud, have a lot of energy for all these athletes, inspire them, get them to do the hard work, even though when they don't want to. And then you learn about weight training later on. But I always thought, this is what I want to do. The thing that I knew when it was cemented was one of our head coaches had this little game that he played where he'd put an intern and he wanted him to coach a team just so that they could fold and so he can prove a point, like coaching is important.
Right.
Well, he put me in that thing and I didn't know what I was doing, but you know what? I was yelling, high-fiving, bringing what they called the juice in the weight room, and the coach said, that's who I want to coach my team. And, oh, no, cool. He can't. He's an intern. And I don't care. This guy he's on it. I don't care what he knows, but the girls loved him. He was on. He had a lot of energy. And that was just, I loved it. I loved college so much. And it made me very content with what I was doing. Didn't think I would ever leave college athletics.
And what school was that at?
I did my graduate work at Sacramento State.
Okay, so you're from California.
I'm from California.
Which is why you're a Raiders fan.
Yes.
Even though they left, you still followed them.
Loyal.
Okay.
I think my wife sent me a meme one time where she was like, always likes the words of affirmation. And then she read this clip and it said, think your husband is cheating, look at his football team. If he's loyal to a losing team, he'll be loyal to you.
Yeah, exactly. So have you been to watch him in Vegas?
Oh, yeah. My wife and I went to the very first game, the very first opener.
That's so cool.
Oh, yeah. It was the best time of our lives. And now she's a Raiders fan. I got her to be a Raiders fan.
All right. My wife's almost a Packer fan.
Oh, we got to work on her.
She is a Packers fan. Just my kid's also a Buccaneers fan. So there's a little bit of...
Well, Florida, Exactly.
Anyway, I digress. Go ahead.
Yeah. So once I was all in on college, I thought, well, I'm never going to leave. And I had a career where I worked at UCLA and met a lot of great athletes there.
And was it always football or was it other sports?
It was football and a couple other sports.
Okay.
When I started to specialize was when I was a head strength and conditioning coach at a school in Northern California, which we called mid-major. So no football, but I did 30 sports altogether. Okay. And so I learned this skill of creating a needs analysis. How do I coach a women's volleyball player? I'm not a woman and I'm not a volleyball player. Because that's something that a lot of people ask me. Have you ever ridden?
Right.
You didn't grow up with horses? How can you be my strength coach?
Right. We were going to get there.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I always learned this skill of sitting there and watching women's field hockey, softball, soccer, men's and women's, basketball, because I was a head coach, so I did men's basketball because I was the
You don't look like a basketball player.
Dude, I tried out and I got cut.
Yeah,
right? Very, very
Me
obvious
too.
there. So, but I had to be the head strength coach for the men's basketball team because that was a revenue generating sport. And then I had all these other teams that myself and my assistant work with. So you get to have to.
So you just watch them basically at that point and say, this is what they're doing.
This is what they need. Stopwatch. What are their conditioning needs?
Right.
Do some research, understand the sport. Most importantly, go and watch. I would. That was my best skill, to be honest. Is I would commit, and they would know if I'm asking you to wake up at 6 a.m. to come work out. I'm gonna show up to your games and I'm gonna clap and I'm gonna be there, but I'm mostly gonna watch and see you in action because I see you in action in my world, the weight room.
Right.
I want to see you in action in your world. That way I can go, I know what this girl needs, or I know what this guy needs.
Right.
It's the program was for basketball, but you really need this. Let's make sure that it's more specific towards you. So all these skills of working with a lot of teams, I feel have paid off now. After 15 plus years in college, my last stop was at University of Kentucky.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. So how'd you get to Kentucky?
I went from Northern California to Colorado. So I was there a few years in Colorado.
Before Dion.
Before Dion, yes.
Okay. You were the original
I wish
Dion.
I would have. Yeah, I wish I would have been there with Dion. Then from Colorado, I came to Kentucky, and then I was only there for like about a year and some change.
Right.
When you don't win football games, you get fired.
That's usually more the head coach's problem than the strength guy's problem.
I was like, everybody was always like, you gotta, keep your head low so you don't catch those bullets. But I was the lowest man on the totem pole.
Right.
And somebody's head had to roll. So, it was my fault that I didn't catch the touchdowns.
Right.
So,
Yeah, come on.
Yeah. So, again, failing at sports. So I left and I started working as a director of personal training at a local gym here.
Okay.
Can't say it was something I woke up at 4:45 thinking, oh my God, I need to do a great job here. I was professional, but I was always like, there's a sport. I
But
like
you
working
stayed
with
in
athletes.
Lexington, so
I
you
did.
must like it here.
I actually liked my wife more than I did Lexington.
Your wife likes it here.
So I met my wife here.
It's a cool
It is.
neighborhood and town, and it's a neat town.
You tell me at 21, coming from California, from LA, to move to Lexington, I'm not going to do that.
All right, it's fair.
But you tell me as an adult, and I love the lifestyle. I love it here. I'll never move back to California. And I just love the people that I get to do life with around here.
Right.
And once I determined I'm going to stay here, was working at that gym, and I met Allie Knowles. And I didn't know what eventing was.
Right.
She didn't tell me what eventing was. She just wanted a break from the horse side of her life.
Yep.
And wanted to work with something that just was completely away, just as a mental break.
Yep.
And she said, I just want to train like an athlete. And I was like, what type of athlete? Make me athletic. So I gave her all the things, and she loved it. And she was telling me how good she was feeling, just overall. And then she had a rotational fall.
Yep.
I think in 2017, 2018. And there's another writer locally. Her name's Alexa Ehlers Thompson.
Yep.
And she was a nurse in the operating room when Allie was getting her surgery. And the doctor told Alexa, if this woman wasn't as strong, like muscle density, as she was, she would have died.
Really?
So then Alexa, I didn't know who she was, contacted me and said, I was a nurse. I want to start working with you because of what the doctor said, that how you helped Allie. I want to be there. Because she had an injury.
Yep.
Right?
I mean, if you're going to ride, you're going to have
injuries.
You hope it's not a catastrophic one.
Yeah.
Rotational fall, but but you're going to tumble, you're going to fall.
Yeah. And she broke everything almost on the right side.
Right.
And I'm going to say she made me, because I was very hesitant to do rehab because I'm a strength coach. I'm not a physio. I'm not an athletic trainer.
Right.
But she said, if you're going to do it, I'm going to be a lot better and more confident in what I can do than a physical therapist. They're not going to help me.
Right.
And that's her livelihood. So imagine the pressure I had, right?
Yeah. No pressure, fix me.
Oh my God. But we did it. And she was so strong before that it made healing so much easier. And I think that's what riders don't understand is they fear the weights. They want to lift those little baby weights. They don't want to lift these because it's going to make them too bulky.
Yeah.
What if I told you it could save your life?
Right.
Because it did Allie.
Yeah.
We weren't lifting 10-pound dumbbells. She didn't get bulky. She actually got leaner because she was lifting heavier weights. We just had to do it the right way.
Right.
And then she was doing Land Rover. Somebody did an interview with her, and then the next morning I'm getting emails.
Really? And that's how it began.
I came to my fiance at the time and I said, I think I'm going to quit my job and I'm going to open up this new online training program, because I asked Allie and she said, yeah, people need you. People might not understand what you do, but they need you.
Well, and I think that's the big thing. And that's why I wanted to have you on the show, is because I came into it and I do understand that fitness is important. And I think everybody kind of understands it, but I understand it's important. And yet, like we were saying earlier, like I didn't really understand what exactly you did. And it's why when I, like I said, I met you a couple years ago, but I didn't initially come in and be like, this is what we're going to do, because I had my own thing going. But I also didn't realize how, I honestly, I assumed that you were just a gym guy who said, yeah, I'll help some riders, until I met you. Right. And even watching your social media stuff is like, yeah, I mean, look at him. He's ripped. He's jacked. He does like gym stuff and lifts bench press and all that stuff, all the stuff I hate. And I'm going to go in there and be like, come on, go, go. But it's cool because it's not that. It's very specific to what we as riders need. And I just think that's really cool. And I think it's interesting how you sort of got there. And for me, being like a guy who loves sports, I think it is super interesting to hear the stories about like coaching at Kentucky and coaching in California and coaching at Colorado. Like, I think that's really cool. But to make that transition, I'm so glad I got to come in and talk to you, because to make that transition from college strength coach to eventing horse sport strength coach that's a big switch. So we have talked before, but to hear like that evolution of how that happened, it actually makes a ton of sense and super organic. And I know Allie really well, and I remember the fall. And so you did do a good job getting her back, because she's riding great.
I was really scared. I'm not going to be honest. Like, how many people would accept me because I didn't ride? And Alexa gave me she taught me how to ride.
Really?
She got me on horses. I haven't ridden since I started traveling doing clinics, but she said, I'll teach you how to ride. And Cosby Green gave me lessons. A lot of people gave me lessons because they wanted for me to experience what they had a passion for. And I mean, they took me through the whole pony club stuff. No, you have to learn how to, this is a curry brush, and you're going to learn how to curry your horse how to do all the things. And I was like, oh, I could do this all day. My shoulder the next day, I was like, ooh, maybe I couldn't do this all day.
You have to get some exercises for that.
Exactly. And I tell you, the next day, my very first day, I was so sore in places that I'm like, what is this? I shouldn't be this sore. And Alexa was very kind, and she gave me a horse that knew its job. But when I was up there, I can tell you that I was just dazing out. Rains were falling, and I was just thinking of nothing.
Right.
And I'm a high-strung dude.
That happens to me occasionally too. Don't worry about it.
Okay. I didn't know where I was. I was just like thinking of nothing. And I know that sounds really weird, but I think if a lot of the people that are watching or listening can remember the first time that they got on a horse, what it felt like. As an adult, feeling that was amazing. And it just gave me a fire. Like, I'm going to help every rider that I can.
Right.
It doesn't matter. I'm going to read the books, because now I had to learn anatomy on another species.
Sure.
So I have books on that. I started researching, like, who's written books on like like you have books in football that teach you all the X's and O's and the techniques. You can find those. Well, where are the ones for riding? And those are difficult because I'm trying to find what's the correct way to sit your canter. There's no, I mean, I could have a whole room full of them, because everybody has their own perception on the forehand has to be at this angle and the back leg has to be on, this angle, and the angles. I could watch YouTube videos forever and still go, I don't know what these people are doing, but I'm learning. And that's why when I first watched the dressage test, I was like, what are you guys judging?
Right.
Now I'm downloading the test and I'm following along, because I want to know, I don't think that transitions like she wanted it to. I don't know what a good one is, but I know that might not be it.
Right. If the head's straight in the air, it's not good.
It looks like a llama. So I don't know. But now I look at tests and can go, okay, now let's strategize. So now I start becoming like the strength coach. into what my friends who thought I was crazy when I did this, all my colleagues,
Sure.
were like, strength?
Yeah, it's a,
for what?
yeah, it is odd.
It was super odd. They were like, I can get you jobs at other colleges. Are you sure? I'm done, man. I feel like I want to do this.
Right.
And so now everybody thinks it's cool, but I am like, okay, if I can actually start getting into what I did in college, which was be more of a sports performance coach,
Yep.
not a strength coach, a sports performance. So now I can talk to you about the 4 areas that an athlete has to really work on to be a better athlete: tactical, technical, physical, and mental. And now can we create a program where you can fit our program into how you plan for your technique? Is it a technical thing that is wrong that you're trying to improve? Is it a tactical thing? How are you warming up for your dressage test? How are you walking your courses? How can you manage all the 4 things that make athlete performance improve? Which, when I came into this thing, I was looking for information like, how do you all get better as riders? It's more about how you get better in the partnership with the horse, a lot of it. But there's another area that is untapped that's what I'm trying to preach. And that's what we'll get to as our, like for you, especially being in our program, is as you start to digest more and more of what it is, I start dripping in.
Right.
Do you see your calendar? Do you understand what's going on with the year-long periodization? I'm treating you like a 4-year Olympian. That's why those calendars were created,
Right.
is because the Russians were trying to build a plan 4 years out. How can we reverse engineer training so that on day 1, today, we know that this is going to make an impact on the Olympics?
Right.
That was like this, because people can't even, know what's going on next week.
Right. No, it's a big thing. Actually, it makes me remember I haven't filled
Yeah,
out.
it's fine. I have it. Don't worry. I got it. If I need info, I'm gonna say, hey, John, what's going on? But see,
sorry.
it becomes overwhelming because people be like, I don't understand what Tony's talking about. I just wanted to lose some pounds and get a little bit
Well,
better.
but the thing is, for me anyway, I almost feel like, and I don't know if this is right, you tell me, no, you're looking at it the wrong way. I almost don't worry about it at this point. Like, I went into this, and this is kind of the way I operate. I go into it like, okay, I've got Tony. This is his job. This is the stuff he's asked me to do. I'm not going to ask a ton of questions.
Yeah.
As long as I understand the basics of what's expected, I'm going to trust that what you're telling me is what I need to do to be better. And like, I'm just thinking about it like we were talking how I can do the one leg thing this way and I can't do it so well this way, which is interesting because I do my left to right flying changes beautifully. I don't do my right to left flying changes nearly as well, and I always end up off the wrong side of the saddle. And I got to believe it's related to the fact that I can do this better than I can do this, and I'm stiff somewhere here. And my hope is through time, as we go through this arc, that straightens out. Because even if it could straighten up 10%, that'd be huge, right? I think.
Right.
That's the way I look at it. Like if I could be 10% better in my bad hip than I am today or when I started it, then that flying change should improve dramatically.
So let me take you through a scenario because I love this. So we have a hip mobility issue. When you're from my eyes, I look at that as a small piece of the big picture. Flying lead change, going to the right or going to the left. If I were to ask you to look at your test and we're grading, we're gonna try to predict what would a good test score be for you if you looked at every single category. Where can you predict your 8s? Maybe my horse, just confirmation wise, we're gonna get probably a 6 here.
Right.
But you can add up a score and you can predict this is what I'm gonna get for my dressage test.
Yep.
If I know that the flying lead change could turn from a 5 and a 6 to a 7 because we worked on this,
right,
and that it gave you the ability to change your tactic.
Yep.
That's where it all comes together, where I can be there not knowing anything about riding, but I can go, okay, John, this is what you're feeling. This is where even as a professional, this is where it can get 10% better.
Right.
Okay, and would that change your tactic as far as how you go up and execute your test? And if you said, if you can get me consistent 7s where I'm not even consistent. Sometimes I get an 8, sometimes I get a 5.
Right.
It just depends. Consistency. That would probably be a game changer, and that's performance.
Right.
That's what we do in football and all these other sports.
Yeah, and it's not a part of, and I think it's because of, I think it's because we have the horse.
Yeah.
So we have these two athletes, and I mean, I joke about it all the time. I'm like, if somebody comes up to me and says, we need to do some physio on your horse. And I'm like, well, how much is that? $250. Do it. But if it's like, I maybe need to go get some work done on myself, what's that going to cost? Well, $100. Nah, I can't afford that. Right? It's the way we are.
Right.
And we don't concentrate enough on ourselves as athletes. And you'll watch people walk out to get on their horse and they're limping to the mounting block. And like, what'd you do? I've just fallen off so many times and I got this thing and that thing and I got I mean, it's like when I was talking to you originally and I'm like, I'm messaging back and forth with you. I'm like, oh, yeah, no, I got 2 screws in that ankle. Oh, that would explain that. Oh, wait, yeah, no, I have this scar tissue on that foot. Well, yeah, you didn't tell me that. That makes sense with this. Oh, yeah, I tore that rotator cuff falling off. And you're like, but I think that's part of like the horse world or being an equestrian is you don't get beat up like a football player. Like I have a really good guy who works for us now named Canyon Walker, and he played college football. He played for Murray State. And he had some rough injuries that he rehabbed correctly, and they didn't let him play. And they, it was like, you're hurt. You can't perform. Meanwhile, I remember breaking this leg, having the pin taken out 8 weeks after it was out. The doctor said, you're good to go, but it has a hole in there because we took the pin out. So like, just remember, it's sort of like a broken bone. I'm like, okay, doc. 5 days later, I was in Canada riding at the Canadian Open in the advanced. Like, no problem, let's do this.
He said I was good.
I did win.
Okay, there you go, too.
But my leg swelled up like that the next day. And like, you would never do that in any other sport.
None.
But we do it all the time.
Every day, and it doesn't even matter the level.
No.
I thought, when I first started, I thought, oh man, these pros are crazy. No, everybody's crazy.
Yes.
And I'm going to say this in a good way because athletic trainers will come in. So Holland, he's hurt. He's not going to be able to practice. He's got a hangnail. And I'm reading the report like, what? You're really going to pull him out? Yeah, he can't. We don't want him to get turf toe. And then I got riders that are competing this weekend that are coming in with ailments that you'd be like, what? And they're still riding. I have nothing but respect for those people. Anyone that rides a horse, I have respect for. It doesn't matter the level because it's the passion. And there was a wrestler that used to say, I have a passion for passion.
Right.
And that resonated with me.
I get that. It's the same for me. Like I think what you're saying, which I've said to people all the time, like, what level of students do you like to teach? I'm like, I don't care. I'll teach anybody that wants to learn.
That's it.
If they're there and they want it and they want to be the best beginner novice rider in the world, I'll take that over somebody who wants to go advanced but doesn't try very hard and is just super talented.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
Don't get me wrong, I love teaching the advanced people.
Yeah.
But you want somebody who wants it, whatever that is, right?
Right.
So with that, one thing, because we are here as we're recording this, it is the Defender Kentucky 3-day event. I get to do commentary this week.
Hey,
really fun. I'm excited to get to be in the box and critique all my friends. Next year I'll be riding, but this year I get to do the commentary. So you have people who are riding. So who do you have that trains with you that's riding this week?
Allie Knowles.
Yep, obviously.
Emily Hamill.
Yep.
I had who else has come in? Beck Brentling was working with this week. Also Molly Duda.
Okay.
Tammy Smith.
That's a good one.
Yeah, that's been one. I never would have thought she was even so close to my world. I didn't even know. Her farm is in Temecula, which is 45 minutes from where I grew up.
Really? I
can't believe she's been in my back. I never knew. Temecula was a city where when I was growing up, there was where you went and dropped off the dead bodies. There was nothing there. And
I can see that. I went out to Galway.
Yeah, and then you see Galway.
I was like, feel like I've flown to Mexico for a horse show. It does feel like you're out in the middle of a desert. No offense, I don't mean that in a bad way, but you're just like, it's the middle. It just feels like an old Western.
Right.
That town, it does.
Yeah.
Okay, so who else? So you got Tammy?
Yes.
Anybody else?
And I think the rest, Alyssa Phillips is somebody that came in and got some work in with me, and I guess Oscar came up lame. So
yeah, poor Alyssa doesn't get to run.
Yeah, so but I'm gonna be out there for the people that that I've been working out with, and what I like to do again at these events is not just clap and be a good cheer person, but also learn. It's always learning.
Sure.
What listening to commentary, what do they see that I don't see that I need to learn?
Right.
You know, because I'm just seeing a question, they're popping over and I'm thinking, yay, but little do I know that there's someone who I really respect. And when I'm at shows, Danny Warrington tells me so much about what they're thinking, where they should be probably aiming for, and the speed because of the combinations that are coming up. And I'm going, I don't know anything about this sport.
I just went blank when I was
I'm just doing this, right? So now when I'm watching, I'm so intentful of what's coming around, they're coming around the corner. What speed? What's the horse looking like? Okay, distance, understanding.
Right.
My brain just goes crazy, and my wife's like, hey, we're ready to go into the next. No, I got to see what's happening as she's leaving. Like, what's the horse?
Right.
Can I see if the fitness is there? And I don't need to do that, right? Like, I can just be here in the gym.
Right.
But
no, it's cool you come and do it.
I come because I'm a student of the sport.
Right.
I'm not going to say I'm a competitor.
Yeah, but hey, that's
because I got my wife saying you are not going to do any eventing because I see who you work with, and no, you're not breaking like that.
Right. Well, you could take the time off for the hangout.
Yeah, of course. And she comes with me to these events, and she loves it.
So you guys will be there this
week?
Yeah,
we'll be there this weekend.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So you just come Saturday?
No, I'll be there tomorrow. Friday, actually, I'm getting in there so that I can stretch out a lot of them before their events. That way they're ready to go.
So you got to fill out all the forms and the whole deal.
And then Saturday, I'm just going to go with my wife. It's our anniversary that day.
Happy anniversary.
Thank you very much. So
I think you're going to get rained on.
I know, and she loves it. She's going to wear her little cool Inspector Gadget trench coat that she just got. And she's going to be out there because she loves supporting all the people that come in here and work out. And she just knows how much a part of me they are.
Right. Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's great. It's neat how much a part of the community you've become and a part of everybody's team. So, and I appreciate that you're part of my team now too.
Yes.
So thanks for that. Thanks for coming on the show. And I got to check out these weights because I see them behind you every time you send me a video. And they are some fancy weights.
They are.
When we get done, I want to check these things out.
Sounds good.
All right. So thanks for coming on. Thank you guys for watching today's show. I really appreciate it. And make sure, please, that you guys go check us out on the podcast players. Give us a 5-star review. Can you do that?
Yes.
All right. Perfect.
Yes.
You can give us not a 5-star review, but if you're going to do that, just don't give us a review. Give us the 5 stars. Come on. So check us out on any of your podcast players and on YouTube. We really appreciate it. That helps us out a bunch. And we will catch you guys on the next show. We have an awesome show for you guys today.
The greatest eventer of all time.
Good news for the sport.